Hello, my name is Nicole Carson Bonilla and I'm a portrait photographer. I love combining pets and humans in my creative portraits. And the steampunk style portrait of Amelia with these two adorable Dobermans is actually a composite of two different photographs. In this video, I'm going to show you how I styled, photographed, and edited these portraits of Amelia and the Dobermans, all in my home portrait studio. But before we go any further, please do me a quick favor and click the like and subscribe buttons below. I went to my local thrift store, Goodwill, so I could source some pieces for her outfit. I found this black lace skirt that was shorter in the front and longer in the back. I also found a black satin shrug and a women's silky brown blouse. I knew the blouse would be too large for my model, but I loved the collar and the ruffle details. So I deconstructed the blouse and I turned it into a sleeveless blouse, and I also made a ruffled belt with a ribbon waistband and ruffled wrist cuffs that would easily fit my petite model. I also added this brown top hat and a belt that I purchased on Amazon, and these black lace boots I had found at Goodwill a couple months ago, and the bird handle cane is a family heirloom. My portrait studio is set up in the guest suite in my home, and the room is about 11 by 15 feet, so I have to make use of every square inch. I also use this room for sound recording, which is why I have sound panels attached at the ceiling line. Behind my backdrop, I have a Canon 600 EX Speedlight with a MagMod MagSphere pointed at the ceiling. The MagSphere helps to gently spread the light across the back wall, which spills over my backdrop. The flash is set to a very low power and provides a subtle amount of fill and hair light coming down on my model. For my key light, I have a Canon 600 EX Speedlight inside of a Westcott softbox. I added some gaffer's tape to secure the flash shoe so my Speedlight is always pointing into the back of the softbox. The softbox comes with one layer of white diffusion, but to further soften the light, I added a double layer of white fabric I cut from a white bed sheet. I serged the two layers together to form a box cover. Then I used safety pins to secure it in place. I have a third Canon EX Speedlight at the back of the studio. I use a MagMod Mag Bounce on top of the flash pointed towards the back wall and a white hanging sheet. This flash is set to a very low power and provides a subtle amount of fill light to the front of the model. I use an LED ring light as the ambient light in the room. It is set to daylight temperature to match the speedlights. I use a white V-flat camera right to bounce light into the shaded side of my model. Then I have another V-flat folded in half with a painted black side towards the model to minimize any extra reflected light, adding to my key light camera left. I have found it requires superhuman abilities to be able to get the pet and the human to pose perfectly in the same photo shoot. So when possible, I prefer to photograph them separately. The best way I can describe photographing pets is joyful chaos. Tyson and Axel are Dobermans owned by the Mortensons, who have done a great job teaching their dogs basic obedience skills. I had several portraits in mind that I wanted to add the Dobermans to, so I photographed them in several different directions and poses so I would have a variety to choose from. Modeling is a lot to ask of a dog who has never modeled before, so I am very patient and wait for them to move into position for just the right shot. And it really helps to have their owners stand just outside the camera to help direct them. I used the exact same lighting and background set for Amelia's photo shoot. This would make it easier to composite the photos together later in Photoshop. I used several different props, including her violin, an old suitcase, a wooden box, and the bird cane. We had so much fun together. I like to import my photos into Exposure X6 for culling and organizing. I use the color tags to identify my favorites. For the composite portrait, I started with the portraits of Amelia. I chose my favorite and exported a copy to Photoshop for detailed editing. Then I brought in the photos of the dogs that would work best with Amelia. I carefully clipped them out so they would blend in with the overall portrait. Then I added my layers of adjustments. Here's a progression of the layers. Then I went back into Exposure and applied my final color grading to the layered Photoshop file using my favorite combination of alien skins. Here are a few of my favorite final portraits of Amelia and the Dobermans. I submitted one of these portraits to the Portrait Masters International Awards and Accreditation Program, and I am so excited to have won a silver award for this portrait. And I just want to thank Amelia and these fantastic Dobermans for being such great models, and I had such a fun time working with them. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please click the like and subscribe buttons below. Then I can keep taking you behind the scenes with me to my creative photo shoots.